Mr. Adrian Todd, Managing Director, South African Equine Health and Protocols non-profit company, a colleague from South Africa who worked very closely with him. I call him Mr. Adrian Bulletproof Todd. South African Equine Health Protocols was formed in late 2017 with the sole focus of resolving South Africa's equine export protocols. A founding director of SIAP, Adrian was previously Managing Director of Cape Thoroughbred Sales. He has also represented the breeding community in the South African Parliament and served as government liaison and industry development consultant to Racing South Africa. Adrian's got some good news. Floor is yours, Adrian.
Thank you, V. I was thinking to myself when I was coming up here today and going through how was I going to start. And I came to the conclusion that it's really the most enjoyable time that I've ever got to speak to a crowd. Last time I spoke to you, it was in Cape Town at this very event. And I said, we're about to have an audit. And when we pass that audit, everything's going to be good. We're going to be exporting. What I hadn't taken into consideration was the COVID pandemic. That stopped the audit right there. And we had to get back to square one, live through the pandemic as you all did. So today, it really gives me great pleasure to be able to stand here and say, not we are going to export from South Africa, but we are exporting from South Africa. And I wanted to take the opportunity to run through what led up to what is a week ago's flight, that for the first flight in 14 years direct from South Africa landed in Belgium. And I hope that our experience and our journey to get from there to where we are today can shed some light on private-public partnerships, the importance of relationship with government, and more importantly, the importance of working together. Because where we got to today would not have been possible without the vision of the Hong Kong Jockey Club and their support in getting everything across the line to this point. What was the problem? We couldn't export. What did that mean to us? It meant that South Africa was limited, but actually totally prohibited from engaging in the shuttle stallion business, having international racing, and the knock-on effect of attracting international sponsors because you're not really internationally racing. Why did we end up there? We ended up there for a very simple reason. And this is something I've always believed in being totally transparent about, and we've never hit it. South Africa failed a 2013 EU audit, and it deserved to fail it. I'm not going to bore you with running through every single point. The major ones are there. The point is, the system needed to be properly built, properly implemented, and the rules properly enforced. You need to be able to give assurances and guarantees as a country that what you say from an equine health perspective is actually what's happening. The solution, given the context of South Africa's governmental constraints, was to form a proper public-private partnership with a dedicated focus on fixing the problem. We heard the other day people talking about the relationship between industry and government at a gambling level and how sometimes the politicians don't understand. It's exactly the same with equine health and equine movement. It's not food security, so on most governments' totem poles it comes a bit lower. We had to get really involved to the degree that we do everything in partnership. Our team are official government vets. That necessitated a transition from where equine health and the export was looked at as part of a committee to what was needed to be done in a focused, dedicated, and professional manner. You see that little picture, there's the transition from hobby into professional approach. Stakeholder engagement, getting out there in the world, not just with industry, but with government. Too often in our industry, we make the mistake of talking only to one another. I can't emphasize enough the importance of engaging with government and having them walk the journey with you. That's how we ended up. Looks rather confusing, and that's because it is. The integration between our organisation, SIAP, public-private partnership with the department. I just put that there to have a quick look. I'm not going to expect you all to understand it and follow it. How was it possible to get there? The public-private partnership is not just a public-private partnership. It can't be seen just as window dressing. It has to be something that you do, you mean it, and you do it together. The industry involvement, key amongst that is the funding. We started out with private funding and industry funding. Then, as I said right at the very beginning, the Hong Kong Jockey Club came on board with a unique funding structure, and that's what allowed this to finally get done. We export everything out of a zonal system, a very small free zone at its centre, Kenilworth Quarantine Station. The free zone is key to the export program, and Kenilworth Quarantine Station is the hub from where it happens. You'll be hearing from Greg Bortz after me. Greg had had possession of the quarantine station for maybe 2, maybe 3 weeks before I said to him, we need to get this upgraded to pass an audit. They didn't hesitate. That's what I mean about support, is putting things into perspective with a sole focus on where you need to get to. What have we learnt out of this journey? That's where I want to conclude. Public-private partnerships are not just window dressing. You really have to engage in them. The closer in all facets of our industry that we can engage with government, the better. We're an interesting industry in that sense. On the one hand, the gambling is regulated by government very heavily. On the other hand, the sports participant, being the horse, also falls under government's total jurisdiction and regulation because it's animal health. So the relationships there have to be solid, and we've learnt that. We also have to remember in the animal health side, there's other horse people out there. We have to work with them. And it's got to be backed up by a system that can deliver all of these aspects. It's not all Manscain and Rosa. By that I mean it's not moonlight and roses every single day. There's differences in opinion, there's political strategy, and where racing fits in with that, and how much you can actually divulge when you're working on behalf of government. But that said, it's been a great journey. We hope that what we've achieved so far can continue to expand to other markets, and we hope that what we've done can help people understand the importance of working together and public-private partnerships.
Adrian, thank you very much.
Thank you, V.
Be connected, strive together. Thank you to the partnerships. Just one question. I know we have some time constraints. And it was mentioned yesterday and today. We had Taylor Swift here yesterday, and she says, people that are passionate have the most knowledge. So stakeholder relationship is critical to your line of work, and you deal with the government officials and decision makers. And at times, with our experience during the COVID period, they have, I'm trying to be as mild as possible, no clue as to where racing fits in, into which sector it fits in. So how do you navigate those challenges when you're looking for decisions, but the person doesn't understand?
That's all part of the education journey, V. You know, when we started, and still to a certain degree, we deal with officials that don't understand. But the public-private partnership greatly helped there, because if you can be truly together in the journey, you can work together to the solution. The relationships are important with the government.
So do you think that we should be proactive in empowering our regulators? Because we only go to them at the last minute.
Definitely, I understand that. I really think that being proactive with regulators is the key to everything. They're there, whether we like it always or whether we don't. Engagement is the key.
And finally, the staff turnover rate, or the turnover rate of leadership in our governments is very high. And I know at times when you almost had a deal signed, supposed to be signed on Monday, you communicate with the stakeholders, only to find out on Monday that the person you dealt with is no longer there. So do you start all over again, or what do you do?
At least it's easier the second time because you've already told them the story once. But yes, you generally do. Politics is an interesting environment. As you say, people change. You have to just focus on getting through to the number one and getting it across the line.
Thank you, Adrian. Well done. Exciting stuff.
Thank you, V. Glad to be
Keep
here.
up.
Thank
Keep
you
up
very
the good
much.
work. We need to get the horses to around the world.